How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, man. You ready to get started?
Yeah, man. I know it's been a few weeks, but I've had a few weeks now to think of a really good new joke. You ready to hear it?
Oh yeah, great. Lay it on me.
Okay, so why couldn't the people see Syl?
I don't know. Why not?
What do you mean, why not? Because she's a fucking sprint. She doesn't show herself to everybody. Are you dumb? Come on.
I mean, I don't know that that's exactly a joke. That's just a kind of a fact, but
Comedy. Ah.
it's a good try. It was a good try.
Okay.
All right.
I don't need your pity. Let's just go.
All right. Today we are doing chapters 7 through 12, I believe.
7 through 12. And if you didn't watch the first podcast, the first half of this podcast is going to be spoiler free, obviously, except for those chapters 7 through 12. But after that, we will let you know. Get on out of here if you don't want to hear spoilers. So
yeah. After that point, we're gonna go deep dive into the end of the book. We've already read it, so yeah. But yeah, this first half spoiler free. So let's get it going. Chapter 7. All right, so we start off and we get Navani's little intro. Tells us that zinc and brass control the expression strength of Sprin. Zinc, for instance, makes it stronger. Brass makes it weaker. So interesting little bit of lore we'll go into later. Shallan, we start off with Shallan confronting Iole, who seems a little withered, not looking too hot. Seems a little terrified, like she hadn't eaten. So yeah, something's going on. Vale wants to kill her right away, but however, Shallan and Radiant decide no, they need to wait. Don't be too brash. Iole states that she doesn't seek to be queen. Her end goal apparently is to put young Gavinor on the throne and kind of rule as his like queen regent or whatever you call it.
right.
So yeah, don't know if that's exactly true, but that's what she's sticking to. So
Yeah, I would say we'll see, but
but let's see. Shallan starts to kind of flash summon pattern, just trying to get his attention, trying to let him know where she is.
which is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. Like just kind of quickly summon him and let go, and
Yeah,
just
don't
to, like
just
let him
don't
know.
fully do it. Yeah, let him feel like the little pull or whatever it is on him. Yeah, interesting. Let's see. Yeah, then Iole begins to talk about and offer Shallan a bunch of different wines. With the kind of secondary conversation that's going around, really clearly indicating that she knows that Shallan isn't who she says she is. Lots of not so subtle hints. But however, she believes her to be an assassin sent by the Ghostbloods for some reason. Thinks the Ghostbloods are out to kill her. Shallan finally fully summons Pattern, and a few moments later, Adolin cuts through the door there, busts it down, and Shallan appears to have caught Iole. Shallan finally, past that one. Iole tells Shallan to search her rooms before anybody else, and to specifically look for the rarest vintage. Some little vague hint she's putting out there. Shallan puts a fake face on Iole, but when she does, she like touches her and she gets kind of creeped out. She kind of freaks out a little. So Radiant emerges and grabs Iole and walks her over to Adolin's guards for safekeeping. She's putting that fake face. That's how they're going to get her out of the city. Their plan is to disguise her and then just walk her out the front gates. And that way her soldiers don't put up a fight or anything. A few minutes later, Shallan hears shouts coming from the other room, runs in to see what's going on, and Iole's body is laying on the floor, stone dead. Crazy.
Did not see that coming. I like I was saying to you earlier, you know, she was like the power behind behind the Sadeas family, like in book 2, especially whenever they were trying to sabotage Dalinar and Adolin. It really seemed like Sadeas thought he was in charge, but she was manipulating him. And to see her go from that to this like cowering, scared figure, it really goes to show you like at least what she thought of Thydakar and the Ghost Bloods. Yeah.
Yeah, when you scare her that much, that's something that holds a lot of weight.
Oh yeah.
We switch over to Cal, who flies over to Rashon's manor, which the Fused have set fire to. They are holding Godeki. He's an edge dancer. They're holding him hostage, and that Fused tells Cal to come inside and fight him. So he can't use his powers. Can't fly away if he's inside a building. So pretty smart. Once inside, one of the singers, yeah, so we thought. Once inside, one of the singers who is with that Fused activates what looks like a little fabrial, and all of a sudden, Kaladin's powers vanish. They think, all right, we've got this puny little human. He doesn't have his radiant powers anymore. But little do they know, Cal is a pretty damn good soldier and murders almost all of them. I think he leaves like 2 regular singers alive, but he kills all the other singers, and even the Fused manages to kill him. So,
goddamn wizard with a spear.
He's ridiculous, man. You can't kill Cal, man. It's impossible.
No.
Even if you don't have his powers, he's gonna fucking murder you.
And you can't convince me otherwise.
No, you can't.
Don't even try.
Lift kind of sneaks into the building, and Cal has her take the fabrial from one of those singers he left alive, bring it over to him. He deactivates it and tells Lift to take Godeki and the fabrial over to the ship and make sure they're all right. And meanwhile, he's going to head down into the basement where he finds to find Rashon and the other prisoners that are apparently still stuck in the building. And then we switch back one more time to Shallan, who inspects Iale's body and determines that she was poisoned. A couple people think that maybe she poisoned herself, took the old cyanide pill. But Shallan suspects that Mraize must have planted an agent in either her Lightweavers or Adolin's soldiers.
See, I think whenever I read it the first time, I maybe just didn't pay attention to that part, but I totally see why Shallan thinks that, because just the type of person that Iale is, she would never off herself. I don't think.
No, I don't think she would, yeah.
She just likes herself too much, so yeah.
Yeah, that self-preservation was at least kind of whatever she said was her goal. You can't necessarily believe everything she says, but
right. I mean, she was ready to die, but I just don't see her as the type of person that would do that herself.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So, sorry, I was taking a drink.
Oh, you're good.
We then we start chapter 8. The little intro there is Navani's talking about that bronze can create a warning fabrial, alerting one to objects or entities nearby. So another interesting little bit of lore we'll get into. We're with Cal. He makes it down to the basement and finds 2 prisoners and Rashon. He finds the 2 prisoners that Rashon mentioned dead on the floor with their eyes burned out.
Now, somebody who could have done that.
Somebody killed him with a shard blade. Yeah, I wonder if we'll find out who. Syl warns Cal that there's something behind him. He spins around, and sees motherfucking Moash holding a knife to Rashon's throat.
Dear listeners, every time Moash name gets brought up from here on out, he will be referred to only as fucking Moash. So
Fucking Moash, yes.
let's all say it together. Fucking Moash.
Fucking Moash.
Okay.
So yeah, then fucking Moash slits Rashon's throat and mocks Cal for coming to save the man who caused them both so much pain. Which, I mean, yeah, he did, but Moash still fucking sucks.
He sucks, man. And yeah, like I was saying this earlier, that fucking Brandon made me care about Rashon only to just kill him. Like I hated him in books 1 and 2, but now I just feel bad for the guy.
Yeah. You felt genuine rage in the first 2 books, and then this book you're like, oh well, maybe he's coming around, you know, maybe he'll be an alright guy, and then nope, dead.
Not anymore. No more chance for that.
Yep. So yeah, Cal points his spear at Moash and challenges him to a fight, but fucking Moash refuses. The bitch. So yeah, then we switch perspectives to Shallan, who orders Red and Gaz to begin collecting every bit of writing from Ialai's room, while she searches for the secret that Ialai hinted at with her little clue. Shallan starts to taste the wines and finds one she can't place. She takes that to Adolin and has him taste it, and he tells us that it's a rare Shin wine. So that appears to be the wine Ialai was referring to.
Did he say it was disgusting or like that it was surprisingly good? I don't remember.
I don't think he particularly liked it, but I believe
Shin wine. Like what?
Yeah, but from the way it was briefly described, I took it as kind of like our wine. Like it sounded like he was talking about grapes. Like I think he said it was made from only a single fruit or something.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense because Roshar obviously wouldn't have the same plants. Outside of Shin, anyways.
Yeah. So I took it as kind of like our version of wine.
Shinovar, sorry. Yeah.
Shin wine. But yeah, so Shallan has Pattern search the room for patterns because he loves those. And he finds that the room has carvings all along the base of the wall in a pattern of 10 different symbols. Shallan quickly puts together that the 10 symbols represent the 10 ancient kingdoms. So she has Pattern specifically look at every one of the Shin carvings along the wall. He sees that one of them is slightly askew, so she takes the brick or block, whatever, that it's painted on and pulls it out and finds a small little notebook. We will get back to later.
Probably, in my opinion, the most interesting bit of the book. But yeah.
It's very, very interesting, very intriguing. But yeah, we'll get to that later. That's spoilers.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we switch back to Cal, who has his spear pointed right at Moash. Is thinking to himself, I should just kill him here. I should just end it right now. But he can't bring himself to do it. Really should have.
He really should have.
At that moment, Cal's Stormlight runs out and just kind of a cold numbness washes over him. He gets real melancholy, and Moash starts to talk a bunch of shit to him, telling him he sucks, and the only way he can...
Excuse me, fucking Moash.
Fucking Moash, excuse me.
Thank
you. Yeah, he's just railing Cal, telling him to give up, telling him, you know what, the only way you're ever going to stop all this pain is to just kill yourself. And... yeah, he's really giving it to Cal, man. Fucking Moash is a piece of shit.
I mean, yeah, like he found his way out, which involved odium, of course.
Uh-huh.
But apparently Cal's only option is to kill himself.
Yeah. It's just
okay, sure.
Apparently the solution, yeah.
Not like there's an entire universe of other options, but yeah.
No, it's just kill yourself. That's Moash's advice. It's solid. Cal kind of goes into a sort of trance. He can't hear Syl yelling at him, trying to snap him out of it. He's really bumming himself out. He's thinking maybe fucking Moash is right and he should just end it. When suddenly a brilliantly glowing figure bursts into the room. We get a weird kind of like alternate version of Moash kind of appearing and looking all regal in his Bridge 4 uniform. It freaks Moash the hell out. He screams, like, "Why? I thought you were going to take all my pain away from me. I didn't sign up for this." Talking to Odium, and he just runs out. And
remember that bit.
Yeah, very important. We'll get into that a little later. Turns out it's good old Renarin. Renarin tells Cal that the Fuse have retreated and the airship is ready to take off. So Renarin saves the day.
My boy.
My boy.
Alrighty.
All right. So then we get to chapter 10. Excuse me. Chapter 9. Navani's little intro tells us that a pewter cage will cause the Spren to express its attribute in force. These are apparently called augmenters. They tend to use Stormlight more quickly than other Fabrials. So, interesting little bit of lore there. If you're curious about the Fabrials, I mean, I'm sure some people could probably give a shit, but I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, if you're interested in this book series, piecing together the little clues that you get in the blurb.
That's part of the fun, yeah. So
I think everybody.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe I was giving them not enough credit. My bad, guys.
If you don't care about that, why are you listening to this right now?
You don't deserve to listen to it. No. All right. So we start off with Cal. He's on the 4th bridge flying back to the tower, and he can't stop thinking about Tien and Elhokar's death and what Moash said to him. It really fucked with his head. Syl expresses her concern for Cal. She notes that he's constantly tired and notes that seems to be a growing darkness inside of him. Syl's pretty worried about old Cal, and to be honest, I'm a little worried too.
Yeah. Especially whenever it described the way he was reacting to Moash in the moment, like saying that it was like he was a kid and like the child inside of him was just agreeing with Moash, couldn't even fight back verbally, let alone physically. But yeah, I'm a little worried for Cal. I don't know if you've heard the theory that Cal could be like the champion of Odium, but I mean, it's looking a little like it could be right now. We'll see. Don't say that to me.
I don't think Brandon's gonna do it, but man, that would be crazy.
I would rather Cal die than that happen, and I think he would probably too. So
yeah, fair. It's not likely, but it's just an interesting, little theory I heard,
but I have not heard that, so you'll have to send that to me. So.
You hadn't? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I can't remember where I read that or saw that, but yeah, interesting theory. Teft comes over and asks Cal about freezing up in front of Moash, but Cal just plays it down as usual. No big deal. However, he does look back on the past year and does admit that it seems to be a growing problem that happens more frequently. His freezing up in battle. Something's going on in his head.
Right.
They go over him and Teft and congratulate one of the Windrunners who spoke her third ideal during the battle. So they go give her a little pat on the back. And then him and some of the other Windrunners leave to take Dalinar and Navani ahead to Urithiru because the airship, is apparently going to take, I think they said a couple months to make the journey back to the Shattered Plane. So Navani and Dalinar, they got places to be, man. They get the express flights. taking their personal jets.
You guys can all wait, but we got to get out of here.
Yeah, sorry, we're more important than you are. See ya. But yeah, then we switch to Navani perspective, and she is examining the weird Fabrial we saw take Kaladin's powers away, while she herself is being flown in a little, I think it says like a little sphere that she made, and they kind of refer to it as like her flying palanquin.
It's pretty fucking sweet, yeah.
Yeah, she's got like a little flying carriage or something, you know. That's pretty sweet.
Whenever I know this isn't like exactly what it is, but whenever it said her like in a sphere flying around, it reminded me of Avatar. Like whenever Aang, floats around on that ball of air.
Yeah. I thought of it as like the Saiyan pod from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh,
I think it says it has like fins on it or something at some point.
Maybe I misread that then. I was thinking it was like made of air by one of the Windrunner. Okay, never mind then.
No. It's like an actual, I believe, like wooden structure they built, some sort of sphere, and yeah, they put like fins on it, and yeah, so.
Yeah, I totally misread that then. Huh.
But yeah, she's checking out that Fabrial, and she notices that it looks like a very similar part inside the tower. And she theorizes that the tower then must have a way to suppress the powers of the fused. So it could be a little interesting defense mechanism the tower would have. That'd be pretty cool.
Because she deduces that, why would the tower have a Fabrial to suppress the power of radiance?
It would make sense to have a radiant suppressor. It should be theoretically a fuse suppressor. So then she makes a curious note that the soulcasters don't fit into the understanding of how all the other Fabrials work. They apparently use radiant Spren, who appear to be held captive in Shadesmar and not held captive like in a gemstone in the real world. That's an interesting little tidbit. Maybe it'll come up later. As they draw closer to the Shattered Plains, Navani notices a flashing light underneath her desk, and looks around, finds a small gemstone stuck to the bottom of her desk that's just flashing. She realizes that it is a gemstone for a Spanreed, and she turns it on, and when she does, the person on the other end tells her she must stop her work with Spren and Fabrials. Somebody's not happy with what Navani's been doing, but we don't know who yet. Then we switch to Shallan and Adolin, who arrive back at Narak at the war camps, or excuse me, from the war camps, with the Ilei's body and the few soldiers of her that they've captured. Shallan worries that if everybody knew all the secrets she keeps hidden, even from herself, that everybody would abandon her. She's having some real trust issues, which I guess you can't really blame her for. I mean, she killed her mom and her dad, and those are two people you're supposed to be able to trust. So yeah, I can't blame her for having trust issues. But Shallan tells Adolin that Ialai didn't poison herself. She was actually killed by someone from their team who's planted by the Ghostblood. So she fills him in on her theory. And she shows Adolin the secret journal that Ialai had hidden in a room.
Which is like a big step forward for her because, she decided finally that she's going to let him in, at least partially.
Yeah, she's going to try to. Yeah, she's going to try to be a little more truthful to him. Yeah. She's still not going to go all the way, but she's trying. So that's good for her. That's good.
All right. So then we come to chapter 10, and the blurb at the beginning of chapter 10 is about a tin cage. Now,
10 for 10.
Do you think he did that on purpose? I think he might have did that on purpose.
Yeah, he might have. He might have
did that on purpose.
He might have done that.
So anyways, it says a tin cage will cause the fabrial to diminish any nearby attributes. A pain reel, for example, can numb pain. And it also mentions that steel and iron, if they use those in the design of the cages, it will, change the polarity. So for the pain reel, if you use steel, it will have an opposite polarity, like take pain away, versus iron, which will give pain. I don't know if those are correct, but they changed the polarity there, which is interesting.
Switches back and forth. Yeah.
By the way, the reason why we're bringing up these blurbs and focusing on them here is because they will come up later. We're going to be talking about that. So
yes, that will be in the spoiler section.
Correct. So yeah, the chapter 10 starts with Kaladin and the rest of Bridge 4 all flying over the Shattered Plains, and Syl tells him that Yunfa wants to meet with him about finding a Radiant. And Yunfa comes up. He's this older Sprin. He says he looks like a old guy kind of sitting on his back on a cloud floating around, which I love that. And he's, angry. So one interesting thing here was that Cal notes that he thought, first starting the Bridge 4 and the Windrunners, that whenever Sprin died, whenever their Radiants died, the Sprin would kind of go catatonic like Syl did, or disappear entirely. But that's not exactly what happens. Actually, they just kind of treat it as a normal battlefield loss. And they can take on more Windrunners, which is really good, because if you had to wait for them to another Sprin or, to come out, I mean, there's only so many honor Sprins, so that's really good.
Yeah. Humanity would be pretty boned if that was the option.
Right.
Or if that was the choice.
So Kaladin pressures Yunfa to take, or at least consider, Rlain. And Yunfa gets all huffy and kind of shakes his fist at him. But Syl takes Kaladin aside and basically says that Yunfa will listen to Kaladin if Kaladin orders him to do it. Apparently, Yunfa and I guess the other honor Sprin see Kaladin as their commanding officer.
Kind of their leader, yeah. Since they abandoned their leaders back home. Yeah.
So Kaladin decides to do that, and he orders Yunfa to at least consider Rlain and not choose any other Radiant before he does so. And he gives them 10 days, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
10 days, yeah.
So he's got 10 days, yeah.
And so I'm sure that'll go over well with Rlain.
Oh, yeah. I can't see that going wrong.
Right.
I want Rlain to get a Sprin. Yeah. So, hopefully he'll actually do it.
So then they arrive in Narak in the Shattered Plains, because they're going to use that Oathgate to travel back to Urithiru.
Yep.
And Dalinar takes Kaladin aside and starts to talk to him about the battle. And Kaladin is worried that it was about him freezing up. But at first, Dalinar talks to him about the one-on-one confrontations with the Heavenly Ones. And he's basically like, why are you not killing them? Why are you doing these one-on-one fights? And, they are the enemy. We are in a war right now, Kaladin. And Kaladin just basically says that he didn't want to kill enemies that show so much honor. But Dalinar responds that, what did you expect? They lived here before us, And then the whole topic of honor the god being their god first comes up, and they both kind of quiet down.
Yep.
But then Dalinar kind of very subtly segues to talk about Kaladin freezing up. And he very gently lets him know that, hey, this is PTSD, and you have been through so much that your mind just cannot handle any more death, or at least, you killing people. So he told him that, you're no longer going to be on the front lines. He made it an order, not a choice. He said that he would have done it months ago, but, Kaladin is who he is. He started the Windrunners. But now that they're kind of up and running, So Kaladin was not happy about that. He kind of gets pissed off, and he says, yeah, you were supposed to be the one that cared. And then kind of has the realization like, oh.
He wouldn't take me off if he didn't care.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, shit.
Took me a second, but I got there.
You got there eventually.
So, yeah, and it kind of ends with Kaladin reluctantly agreeing and kind of putting on a brave face for Dalinar and telling him he needs some time to think about, what he'd like to do, because he doesn't want to have to train or command the Windrunners without going into battle with them. He doesn't think he can do that.
Yeah, he doesn't think he could send men to die without being there himself. So.
Right. All right. So in chapter 11, this one focuses on Vinley. However, the blurb at the beginning is that an iron cage will create an attractor, and it basically can draw specific elements to itself, like a smoke fabrial can gather smoke from a fire. And she says that it should be possible to create a repeller fabrial, but they don't know the metal yet to achieve this. But that seems kind of odd, because the previous blurb again said that iron and steel reverse polarity. So maybe try steel? I don't know.
You would think. But
I feel like, it's Navani. She would have thought of that. So interesting. Yeah. So anyways, this is a Vinley perspective. And she kind of goes into explaining the hierarchy of the fused. Like, you have your normal singers, and then you have forms of power, and then the fused, and then like things like thunderclasts and the unmade. And so that's, we sort of already knew that, but it's kind of interesting to note that that's how it is concretely. And it's basically the new hierarchy across the world for all the singers, because they are starting to take over the entire world. She comments that Leshwi and the Heavenly Ones have fared better in terms of madness over the years, which is interesting for reasons that we'll have to get into later. But interesting to note that the Windrunner equivalent fused are the only ones to really stave off madness. So each of the different fuse types are called brands. And yeah, that's basically all I have written there. But so Vinley gets her whiskers shaved off, which is funny to me. I don't know why.
Well, she's got to get her mustache shaved off, because apparently the sacrifice she had this last time was a male. So yeah, it said she grows like a very thin, soft mustache, but she doesn't like it. So.
Oh, I must have missed that. Okay.
Yeah. She used a Malin for her transformation this time.
Gotcha.
Apparently she's got a wiener.
She has the ability to look into Shadesmar and discern normal singers from the fused, of course, because of Timber. Remember Timber has basically contained this void sprint within her and, makes her radiant while also having the power of the envoy form fused. Real quick, fun fact here. Timbre, which is spelled Timbre, is actually should be pronounced timbre. It's a term in music that basically means the specific character of an instrument. So if you have a piano and my voice or a guitar, they can all play the same note, but you would obviously able to tell what's the piano, what's the guitar,
which one it is. Yeah.
So even they're all playing the same note, that characteristic of being able to tell the difference is the timbre of the instrument. And which is interesting because of, the whole singers and their songs.
Yeah, that's a clever little name for him since she's his Spren. So
yeah,
good on you, Brando.
So Vinley meets with Schumann and Leshwi. Schumann is a new servant to Leshwi, and Vinley is basically introducing Leshwi to Yokska, which, if you remember, she was actually Adolin's tailor.
Yep.
That I
remembered that name.
Yeah, they hid with her in book 3 whenever they were infiltrate Kholinar. And Leshwi wants to get a tailor for her dresses, but she rejects Yokska because she is human. She doesn't want to send the wrong message. But she allows Yokska to train singer tailors, which, cut out the middleman. I don't know.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to appear to be playing favorites.
I know. So she Vinley meets with her secret group who are resisting the fused and brings in this new member, Schumann, who she notes is very unlike normal singers or the fused. She uses very human-like mannerisms. Mm-hmm. Such as, like, rather than humming to a certain emotion, she fiddles with her hair to show skepticism, I believe. And
yeah.
So Vinley has told her resistance group that she can see into Shadesmar and has these other abilities, but they don't know why. They don't know that she's a Radiant.
Yet.
Which I don't know how else she would be able to do it, but whatever. We'll just accept that.
She says that it's her... one of her regal abilities. That's what she tells them.
I guess that would make sense because there's not any other envoy forms around to compare. I guess that could make sense. Okay.
Yeah, if she's the only one, and plus I don't think she's telling like everybody, and it's just her little group.
No, so yeah, for sure.
They're keeping it to them. If they told like one of the other fuses, they'd probably be like, "Oh, that's bullshit. She can't do that."
Yeah, they would know for sure.
Yeah.
So she clarifies that their resistance is not to overthrow the fused, but rather to give the singers a choice like the listeners had. They basically just kind of want to run away and be their own group.
But yeah, they want to be their own thing. They don't like their gods, and they don't like the humans. They just want to chill.
Yeah. And but Schumann brings up the fact that the fused will never let the resistant singers go. The only reason why the listeners were able to escape was it was at the end of this war, Harietiam, and there was chaos, so they were able to escape in that chaos. But whenever Odium is in his full power and they're in the middle of the war. There's no way in hell he's going to allow them to live. He'll wipe them off the face of the planet.
I don't think that's going to work.
No. But the meeting is
Lest
interrupted whenever
we come.
Oh man, talk to text. Anyways, Leshwi comes down to say that there's something big happening. So obviously Vinley is worried that Leshwi was catching the group, but it turns out to not be that. So anyways, chapter 12. So Kaladin, hang on. Kaladin feels depressed about, despite, people trying to cheer him up. He goes into his room, but just kind of collapses and is in a total depressive state, thinking about Moash and everything that he said and the fact that he kind of agrees with Moash. But Syl goes and gets Adolin, who convinces him to finally go out and get a drink at a wine house, which is this one that apparently Adolin has frequented before, and Cal has gone in there with him. Cal talks with Vale and Radiant about the assassination of Ile and Shallan's personas. And, basically just asking how it could have happened. And they talk about finding a new relationship for Kaladin after, what's her, oh, shit. Lynn,
yeah.
No, that's not right.
It's not Lynn?
Lynn?
The Windrunner Lynn? Yeah, I think it's Lynn.
Is it Lynn? Okay. Lynn, left him. But, obviously he doesn't want to. Kaladin talked with Adolin about his battle shock and Shallan's mental stability. And Rock tells Kaladin about his departure to his homeland. Because, of course, Rock lifted the bow to kill Amaram. Yeah, and at the end of book 3, if you recall, Kaladin was fighting him, and Amaram had turned into this crazy crystal monster type thing.
Fucked up, crazy looking dude, yeah.
And Rock came in like a fucking badass, all radiant, and bare-handed pulled back a shard bow and just fucking murdered Amaram, which was really cool. But he is third son, and
not allowed to fight.
Third son's not allowed to fight. So he is basically going back to the mountain to turn himself in and face the trials for lifting the bow.
Yep. Which, if this is the last time we see Rock, kind of fuck you, Brando Sando. Like,
there's no way.
Rock's my boy, man. Like, how you gonna do that?
Yeah, he can't have that. Can't be his exit. I
sure hope not, man. Losing Rock would be absolutely horrible, man.
I could get losing Rock. It would suck, but I just don't feel like this is the way that's gonna happen.
It seems a little, I don't know, just a little not anticlimactic, but like, it's just like, hey, I'm gonna go turn myself in.
No, definitely anticlimactic.
That can't be, that can't be how you send Rock out. Like, come on, man. And gotta sacrifice himself, or I don't know. I don't want him to die, but if you're going to, make it worth it.
Yeah, not over some archaic rule,
Yeah. So surely he'll be back, but apparently he says that's the last time we're gonna see him. So we'll see.
So real quick, I forgot to mention the blurb at the beginning, and it goes, one of my pleas is for Artifabrians to stop shrouding Fabrial techniques with so much mystery. Many decoy metals are used in cages, and wires are often plated to look like a different metal, with the express intent of confusing those who might try to learn the process through personal study. Which
hoarding the technology.
Yeah. and that'll become important later. Not that exactly, but not the covering it with one metal to disguise it, but yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So, yeah. How'd you feel about these 6 chapters?
They were a little heavy, man. I mean, they're good chapters. But you know, Cal's real down on himself. I hope he gets better, you know, but he's not looking too hot. Ile dying that early was crazy. I think we talked about it a little bit, but that was crazy. Yeah, man, just a good set of chapters, but a little bit of a bummer, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, they were good.
Yeah, last episode I mentioned how I really liked Brandon taking mental health seriously and not trying to wave it away because of magic.
Yeah.
But while I do like to see that, it really, really hurts to see Kaladin in this type of pain. You know, because I mean, we've been with him through 3 books, and 3 of Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight books are like 6 normal books.
It's a lot. Yeah. You feel like you really know that character so well, like, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard, man. It's rough.
When he faces Moash, and you know, Moash tells him, excuse me, sorry, let me start that over.
Yeah.
When he faces fucking Moash, and fucking Moash tells him that everybody he loves is going to die, and that the only way out is just to kill himself. Like I said, it describes Kaladin as like a little kid, like wanting to agree with him, just wanting the pain to go away. And God, that's just heart-wrenching. And then later, whenever Dalinar takes him off the front line and he goes back to his room, he gets in this depressive state that only Adolin is able to get him out of. He's basically just collapsed against the wall, unable to even move. And it's not the furthest that he'll stoop, and maybe not the furthest he's been in the series. Maybe the part where he was about to jump off the cliff.
He did have his foot on the edge at one point, yeah. So he might have been further, but this is still pretty low for him, man. He's in a rough spot.
Yeah. So, spoiler free. Hopefully, we'll see him get out of that.
Yeah. I'm always hoping for Cal to come up on top. You know, I've been waiting for it for 3 books, man. Just come on, you can do it, buddy.
He better not be a fucking Odium's champion. I'm gonna be pissed,
dude. I know. I heard that theory, and I was like, I think I heard it maybe after book 2 or something, and I was like, no, that's not gonna happen. It'll probably like be Moash or something. But then, yeah, man. After at least these first 6 chapters, or excuse me, first 12 now, looking like it could be possible. You know, I don't think Brandon's gonna go there, but
yeah,
if he did, he's laid some groundwork, so it wouldn't be necessarily out of nowhere. But
all right,
that'd be crazy.
Well, so if you are sensitive to spoilers, now is your chance to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't want spoilers. See you next week or next month. who knows with our schedule,
3,
but see you next time.
1, and they're gone. Okay, so let's talk about the implications for the rest of the book. I just knocked my mic. Sorry for the listeners. So first off, Vinley's idea is to imitate what the listeners did in the Desolations. We already said that with her little resistance. But that sort of brings up the question of what happened to the listeners that fled whenever Eshonai and the others took the storm form. Because if you remember from book 2, whenever, you know, Dalinar's forces were coming out to Narak to fight them, they all took on storm form, and anybody that didn't, they gathered them up and were about to kill them, but they all escaped with food.
Yeah.
And nothing really happened. You know, they escaped, and that was kind of it. Like, never really figured out what happened. But yeah, hearing about them doing the same thing sort of, you know, jogged my memory about that. And it's cool finally to have some, you know, conclusion to that story, because, you know, Finley thought they had obviously died in the storm, but apparently not.
Yeah, she just assumed they did, yeah.
So yeah, they didn't. Spoiler. That's a spoiler.
Spoiler, they didn't.
And yeah, so the other thing is, the reason why Leshwi was interrupting Vinley's meeting is because Raboniel has returned. And she is going to play a big part going forward. She's basically the counterpart to Navani as a scholar.
Yeah, she's a big, I don't know if I'd call her the main villain, but she's a big baddie in this book. Yeah.
I'd at least say the main villain for this book. Yeah, I think so. Either her or the pursuer.
Yeah, that's who I was kind of thinking might be the main villain, but it just, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it.
He's just kind of pathetic, though. So.
He does so. I mean, he's been killed once now, so fuck him. He's a piece of shit.
And yeah, like, so for the non-spoiler people, we said that maybe Cal could go to Odium, but obviously for the people who read the book, the implication is that no, he's probably not, because, or at least I don't think so. Maybe something could happen, but
no, yeah, I mean, at the end of the book, I'm pretty sure that theory is in the garbage.
Because he swears the fourth ideal.
And you never know, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think? Any implications you thought worth bringing up, or?
Nothing that I could really remember. Or I guess, I mean, I don't know if it's an implication, but now knowing that we're in the spoilers, knowing who killed ELA, it's interesting to see exactly when that happened. So on the second read through, I was like, okay, so where does she do it? And I made sure to even put it in the script to put that Radiant grabbed her and walked her over to Adolin's guards, because that's the moment that she poisons her, is whenever she takes control from Shallan and walks ELA over to the guards. That's when she poisons her.
The interesting thing there is why, you know, usually whenever one of them takes control, the other two are aware of what's going on. They're aware of what the others are doing and thinking. So
yeah, somehow she shut them out for a split second, at least, for her to, you know, at least poison her in that split second.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't even know if they even discuss why or how that happened.
Well, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah.
And so, sorry. Connections for the rest of the book. Excuse me. What you got?
Really for my connections, all I've got is the different metals and how they seem to be the same as the Mistborn, yeah, with the Mistborn metals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think those connections are. I don't know. I guess I don't know specifically because I haven't read enough of the books, but I don't know if metal comes into play in like all of the series.
No.
Or if it's just okay, so it's just these two that it seem to be a little more connected.
Which is interesting. And yeah, so like just going back through them, they talk about first 10. Well, no, I guess first was chapter.
Yeah, I think they mentioned some in like the 1 through 6 also.
Yeah. So in 7, they talked about, zinc and brass, which in Mistborn were the emotional metals. So they would like let you flare and calm emotions. And it says here that they allow you to control expression strength.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me go ahead and put this up the screen. There it is. Okay. So, yeah, then the next one, they talk about a bronze cage can create a warning fabrial. And trying to remember, what did bronze do in Mistborn?
I think the bronze burners were the ones that could like sense allomancy, right?
Yes. Yeah. So copper was the one that they clouded it, and bronze would sense it, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense then. It creates a warning fabrial, which would be sensing other investiture. And then the pewter cage basically allows the fabrial to express its attribute in force, which for Mistborn, it again was, I guess it could sort of be described that way. It gave strength to humans.
Yeah, it gave you kind of a superhuman strength, sort of.
Yeah, but we didn't see, like, obviously how it would affect other beings that were infused with it. And let's see. Then 10 caused the fabrial to diminish nearby attributes, which is odd, actually, because 10...
wasn't it a 10 eye, like you could see real far?
Right, yeah. So in Mistborn, it caused you to increase someone's attributes or someone's senses.
Yeah.
But it does say there that steel and iron can change the polarity of this. So I guess, yeah. And finally, it talks about Iron Cage being an attractor. And again, in Mistborn, iron was the one that they used to pull, iron pullers. And steel would be the steel pushers.
Pusher, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's interesting why they didn't mention steel here. You would think that knowing that it shifts the polarity, I don't know, maybe they haven't thought of it. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, that was definitely on my second read through. I was like, well, wait a minute. If I just use the metals in Mistborn, I bet I could figure it out.
Yeah. And then, the other thing I was thinking about was, I remember I texted you like right whenever I thought of this, but so if you recall, Renarin, whenever he busts in to save Kaladin, Moash sees like a different version of himself, a version that wasn't in pain. He looked like he was still wearing the Bridge 4 uniform, and it was like clean and everything. So what does that sound like to you?
Well, I'll be honest, that sounds a lot like the gold allomancy that was in Mistborn.
Right, yeah, which showed you a version of your past self, if you recall.
Yep.
And so that's really, really interesting because, again, within Stormlight, the different types of investiture are tied to their planet that they occur on.
So their planet and ultimately, I guess, kind of their shard, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the shard is tied to that planet. And
Yeah.
so, and it even goes so far as to say that, like, people that are highly invested can't leave their world, or there's barriers to prevent that from happening. Like, Raboniel thought about leaving, but she can't.
Yeah. She's tied to either Braze or
Roshar.
or Roshar, yeah.
So, how is it that metal on Roshar is able to influence how investiture works? Because that's tied to Scadrial. It's
I mean, it kind of just could be that metal in the whole universe, in Brandon's universe, just has the same effect on different types of investiture. Maybe we just haven't noticed it yet, or he hasn't given it to us yet before these books.
I think you're right. I think you're right because in Mistborn they mention that consuming the metal does not give you the power. It just like allows you to access it, sort of.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's probably what it is, which is
it's probably him trying to work them all more fluidly together, now that he's got it more planned out probably now.
I'm interested to see what the consequences of that is.
It could get real crazy real fast, man. All those books start colliding, and it's gonna get crazy.
I just want to see a chicken from the Sixth of the Dusk. I
think that's a book I haven't read.
It was in the Arcanum Unbound, the collection of short stories.
I don't know if I'd listened to all of those. I think I just went to the ones that were the Mistborn ones, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I didn't read all of them.
Oh, there's a really good one in there about this world that has this sort of like haunted forest. Something happened on it where the investiture just like went nuts, and it's fucking cool. I don't want to give anything else away, but it's
I need to read some more. Yeah, for sure.
And then finally, the notebook that Shallan finds, and this is what I was saying, I think is probably the most interesting bit here, is this. It was Ele's notebook, and it contains the words Nolithis, and I wrote these exactly as they are found. Nolithis, Scadarial, and Tal Dane.
Yep.
But I mean, if you're a fan of the series, if you're a fan of the series, you'll know like those are kind of bastardizations of the real words, which are Nolthis, the world from Warbreaker, Scadrial from Mistborn.
Yep.
It's the one you know.
I know that one.
And Tal Dane, which was from The White Sands, and that's the graphic novel, which is the earliest in the Cosmere canon. And I would only suggest that if you are like a real huge Brandon Sanderson fan. It's not the greatest. I didn't say that. I'm so sorry, Brandon.
I remember you telling me that you didn't love the White Sands one.
It's okay. It's just I think it's like midway through the second book, I believe, they changed artists, and you can really tell. Like,
Yeah.
it's two completely different styles, and it's just like one page it's this, and then the next page is
real jarring.
the fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I mean, we knew that the Ghost Bloods and Thydakar were world hoppers, or at least the Ghost Bloods as an organization. Maybe not people like Mraize, but
yeah.
well, actually, no. I guess Mraize was, because he had some artifacts. Whenever
I'm sure he's been around. He seems like a guy who's
Yeah.
who's been a couple places.
but so yeah, but the extent of it wasn't really well known. But
No, yeah.
clearly, they know at least of these three other worlds, and which are interestingly the three worlds that have kind of at least well, last we heard of Taldane, I don't know, that's earliest in canon, so we don't know how it is now, but they have fairly stable worlds and stable investiture.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike, some of the other ones like Six of the Dusk or that Haunted Forest Planet, or some other ones like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it kind of brings the question of who the hell is Thydakar? Like, is he someone that came from Yolen, like Wit, and just didn't take a shard?
I think it's possible he might be Wit old. Yeah.
Possible. Okay. Or my other thought was, if you listen to the audio book, well, I mean, they're in the regular books too, but at the very end of every book, there's this little part that's called Ars Arcanum.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing to note about that is it's actually canonically written by, I'm forgetting her name now, but she was a woman from the dark side of Taldane. And after she discovers the magic, the sand magic there, she gets really into it. And somehow, we aren't told how, but she learns how to world hop. And so she goes around and is learning all about the magic systems there. She actually comes into Mistborn Era 2 and asks...
she's the one asking what's her name about, or what's his name about his powers,
Wax,
right?
Yeah. So...
I remember that.
So maybe he's someone like that. I don't know. But I'm interested to find out.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the Ghost Bloods will show up in other books too.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Or like if they already have and you just don't really know it. Yeah.
Right.
I remember, I think I was on my last read through of Mistborn. I looked up, and apparently there's supposed to be a Kandra in this world. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Oh man, now I'm blanking on it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember where I saw it, but I think it's something that maybe even Brandon has confirmed Brando Sando. I think he may have confirmed that. There might be one in. Good Lord, why can't I not remember this planet?
Stormlight Archive?
In Stormlight.
The thing our podcast is ostensibly about?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the planet name. I'm staring at Nathalis, or whatever, Scadrial, and so I was staring at those and I just couldn't bring it to the brain.
I mean, I had to give you shit about it, but I mean, we're dealing with a huge universe with all these proper names and shit.
Yeah, it's a little hard to keep straight sometimes.
But all right, anything else you wanted to add, or?
No, I think that's it, man. It was good couple chapters, and I'm looking forward to the next one, man. I want to see where this is going.
All right, awesome. Well, guys, let us know what you think about this. Give us some questions down in the comments if anybody watches. We love our fan.
Yes, our 20 fan out there that they watched the first episode. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions, if you want us to talk about something in the next episode that we didn't bring up here, if we missed something, or if you find something incorrect, I will pin the comment. But yeah,
there's probably a couple of those.
Until next time, we have been Sando Fando. Professional
Take
out.
it easy.